Kagatin mising chitab Kolenjin atinye kamang'unet neole kiboibochi betung'ung nebo taman nebo arawetab tisab kenyitab 2025 itagat mising eng studio nebo Kass TV. Tetutiet neitunen inguni ko longetab Kabotik kole itun logoiwek chebo emet eng kebeberta netai kokikushini gong kele tos ne nekamuch kotestai en betutab raini kobun komoswek cheterterchin chebo emet. Kikurenon Caroline Kiplagat ak neibwech logoiwechuto en oret nebo kabarunoik ko Naomi Cherotich. Betut agenge kityo kong'eten kong'at President William Ruto afisaek chebo ripsetab kalyet komwok kelyek biik cheng'eme malikab biik ak chebo serikali kasarta nebo kambakosiek kokakomong'uge MP nebo Belgut Nelson Koech akokochi kasubet kakwautiet noton. Kong'oloni en Belgut County nebo Kericho komwa Koech anan kotes Koech ne nebo kecheret nebo Committee nebo Defense eng National Assembly kole magat en afisaekab police komwok akobar kiplelutinik cheweche kambakosiek, kit nekakotestai koibu ng'alalet ak neregek cheechen en emet. Ngenyorun Robert Sele ak report en koindo.
Kamwa MP nebo Belgut en county nebo Kericho Nelson Koech Sonko kole miten kandoik chemiten in opposition chemache koboisien kaibeisiet ak chemarket kowirta serikalitab emoni.
That today we have people in our country that are attempting a coup, that they are attempting to unconstitutionally remove President William Samoei Ruto. I want to say very categorically kwamba sisi wakati tumenyamaza wasifikirie sisi ni waoga. Wakati sisi tunaangalia yale uchochezi ambayo inaendelea ya kusema ati wanataka kwenda State House na ile matamshi ambayo Karua juzi alisema kwamba ati wanaweza kumuondoa Rais William Samoei Ruto hata kabla ya 2027 na yale uchochezi ambayo Rigathi Gachagua anafanya.
Kosubkei ak Koech kotie ng'alaletab President nebo emoni Dr. William Ruto nebo kikoten biik cheindo ole ng'oi emet kobun kabokyinetab komoswek cheribotik kobaten kosubkei ak MP Sonko komaame kityo kakotenet inegen.
Na mimi nataka niseme na nishukuru Rais William Samoei Ruto. Wakati jana umesema shoot but do not kill. I want to repeat it here. In fact, shoot and kill. You cannot have someone coming after your life and you do not want to shoot and kill. You cannot have someone who is going to terrorize you and your family and you are telling me you cannot shoot and kill. You cannot have someone who is coming after your businesses armed and with weapons and you want to tell me that you cannot use shoot and kill. The Constitution, the Police Act has given the police the powers to use their arms where they have evaluated the risk of their lives is in danger.
Kamwa MP noton kole kikobun ole ui emoni ole moyen ng'alalutik alak tugul cheimuch konde emet ole makararan.
This country blood has been shed enough times and we will want to warn all those who want to orchestrate violence in our nation that we will not allow the temptation to join your chorus. This is a very peaceful country. Na haiwezi kuwa ati sabasaba mtakuwa mnaifanya wakati nyinyi mnafikiria. Wakati wa Moi ndio mlisema mambo ya sabasaba. Mkanyamaza mpaka wakati wa William Ruto ndio mnafikiria tena sabasaba. Kwa sababu tunajua nia yenu.
Kamwa Koech kole miten serikalitab emoni kondochin President Dr. William Ruto kotelelot ole tindoi kamang'unetab konyor kabelisiet akoi kenyitab 2032.
I want to tell you there is only one way of taking over power. That is to wait for the next general election, contest, and we will beat you hands down once again. Hiyo puzi yenu mnatuambia sijui one term ya nani? Nani alikuambia sisi ndio tutakaa one term? Kibaki hakukaa one term, Uhuru hakukaa one term. Sisi umeona wakati imetufikia ndio sisi ni washenzi tukae one term. Tunapiga term mbili fululizo. Na waelewe vizuri sana. Wakati wewe Rigathi Gachagua na hiyo grupu yako mnasema ati wale ambao walienda kufanya mambo ya kuharibu mali ya raia ati walitumwa na serikali. Kwa nini wakati mheshimiwa Mkunji ameshikwa ukasema tena serikali inaenda kutafuta watu yako? Why the double speak? If you think that the government is sending goons and assassins to attack people's property and investments, why do you have a problem when the government then goes after the people they have sent, as you claim?
Kang'alale MP Nelson Koech kasarta nekamiten en komaswek cheterter chebo Pelgut en lumdaetab projects cheterter chebo bandab tai cheboto lumdaetab teksetab ofisitab kirwokindet nebo Chepirirbei ak katyaktaetab rabisiek chekitokyin teksetab Chepkoin Primary School en kwenutab tetutik alak cheterter chebo bandab tai en komasatan. Kong'eten county nebo Kericho, logoiwekab emet chebo Kass, kainenyun ko Robert Siele.
Ngebe koi county nebo Uasin Gishu ole kaibet sobonwek lagok somoku chebo sukulitab Queens of Angels nemito Tarbo county nebo Uasin Gishu yekan kokaribus kapchoit anan pit latrine akobeten sobet lagok choto eng yoto. Kanyoru kora kakotunosiek kipsomaninik alage ole kakimut konyor kanyoiset eng sipitalit nebo Tarbo. Kipsomaninik choto somok komwaat kele bo grade 1 ako ole kait keker sukul noto kosubkei ak sigik chekaitita yoto eng chokchinet ak neregek chemi barak.
The morning we received the news of this tragedy at Queen of Angels School here in Tarbo, that is in Tarbo sub-county, Uasin Gishu County, where the school latrine collapsed. Unfortunately, we have had to lose 3 girls from the ECD section, and their bodies have already been retrieved. And we want to thank the community for responding fast, including our teachers from the neighboring schools who came and took charge of the situation and taken the roll call of the children and their parents. We also want to thank the NYS team, and I hope you can see they are still here. They are among the first responders to come here and do the rescue operations. All the children have been accounted for, those who are present in the school and those who are absent. And I want to thank our neighboring teachers, including my BC who is here, Madam Anita. Probably you have seen her very busy trying to organize. The teachers of this school are traumatized and they were not able to actually do anything. But I want to thank them for coming and standing in for them. With me here include our chairman of the Heads Association, that is Kepsha, Mr. Chesop, and the secretary, Madam Tonje, and our neighboring principal, Mr. Bet, who have also been here with us, and several teachers who have gone back to their schools. We want to call for calm from our parents. We have seen the site, we have visited, and it was something that looked like purely accidental. This is not a time for us to blame anyone, but to grieve together as the teaching fraternity with our parents, and we say pole. Last night we also lost some 2 boys from Cheramei Secondary School through a road accident. They were crushed by a lorry, and this neighborhood is actually mourning. The best we can say from the Kenya National Union of Teachers is pole, and may God give us the strength. Allow me to give the chairman to say something also concerning what has happened today. And counseling for the children and the teachers. Whenever we have such a tragedy in an institution, the number that is affected is quite huge, because this is something that has not been happening. A colleague dies, probably the one you are seated with, and therefore we would wish to call on the state agencies, right from the county government and the Ministry of Education, that probably as we reopen this school, they send a team of counselors so that they may be able to prepare our learners and the teachers, and also the parents. Otherwise, asanteni sana. May God bless you.
So we are here in Queen of Angels Mission School. This early morning we have an incident where some learners were going to the latrine, and all of a sudden it collapsed and it affected 3 learners. We want to say that the situation is under control. All learners that we have here have been taken care of. Our parents have taken their children, we are releasing them, and then we'll be resuming back after the situation is calmed down. So we appreciate all those who have come to our support very early morning, and we pray that this one comes into control. Maybe it has come through because of the heavy rain throughout the night, and we believe that this one was because of a lot of rain. So at the moment we are still checking on the situation, and we are going to give a proper information about our learners who have been affected. Those who have been injured, they have been taken to the hospital. And now the school is releasing learners. Some of them have gone already.
Agetesetai kemoi mutyo missing eng nyasutiet noton. Ngebe nguno county nebo Bomet ole kakikochi kerkong'et nebo kerat kenyisiek 30 en gorgoret Edison Kipkoririegon kosubkei ak nekinyorchi lelutiet nebo rumisiet ole mwaat kele kibeten sobet Bernard Cheriot en komosta nenaat ko Youth Farmers en Bomet East. Ako yorwe sirinenyo Festus Rono kweng tilet noton bo kirwogindet neo nebo kapkirwok nebo Bomet Justice Julius Ngarngar ko kakirat akine Bernard Chepkony en kasarta nebo kenyisiek 20 akerat kora Peter Kiprono Sigei kenyisiek 10 kosubkei ak nekinyorchi lelutiet nebo baretab Kenneth Kosgei en komosta nebo Keneni Kapkimolwo en county nebo Bomet.
En tilet neinegen nekaya kirwogindet neo nebo kapkirwok nebo Bomet Honorable Justice Julius Ngarngar ko katil kerat Edison Kipkoririegon kenyisiek 30 kosubkei ak lelutiet nebo rumisiet ole kibeten sobet Bernard Cheriot en Youth Farmers en Bomet East en county nebo Bomet en kenyitab 2016 en kot agenge nekiboiboitengei en komosotok.
I do sentence the accused to serve 30 years imprisonment for the offense of murder. You have 14 days right of appeal.
En kasaraton ko kangat kora kerat Bernard Chepkony kenyisiek 20 kosubkei ak nekibeten sobet Joseph Koech en Beshaboi en Konoin ole elelutiet neu noton ko kakirat Peter Kiprono Sigei kenyisiek 10 kosubkei ak nekibeten sobet Kenneth Kosgei en Keneni Kapkimolwo en kenyitab 2020 kerkong'et nekergei ak nekikochi Patrick Kemoibet nebo Kimabit Esotik nekakirat kenyisiek 10 kosubkei ak nekibeten akine sobet Kevin Kiprono.
But taking into account the nature of the offense and how it was committed, you are sentenced to serve 20 years imprisonment. You have 14 days right of appeal. You are sentenced to serve 10 years imprisonment for the offense of manslaughter, having been reduced to manslaughter. Pre-sentence report alongside the mitigation. The accused is sentenced for the reduced charge of manslaughter following the plea bargain to serve a sentence of 7 years imprisonment. The sentence to run from the date of the arraignment in court, that is on 23rd of September 2021.
Kong'eten county nebo Bomet logoiwekab emet chebo Kass, kainenyun ko Festus Rono.
Ngebe county nebo Nakuru ole kakoboru kaimetabkei familia agenge en kibagengeit nebo IPOA en kit nemwoe kole tomo koyochi ichek imanda kosubkei ak baretab wering'wany Amos Lang'at nemwaat kele kibar inen afisayat neboisie en presidential escort tarik 23 arawetab 3 kenyini. Kosubkei ak okiliot nebo familia noto Kipkoech Ng'etich kokaikoito somet en IPOA kochigil rumisionoto ole agoi nguni kotomo koib kakwautik alak tugul akai kochi kibagengeit noton bo IPOA betusiek 14 kokonu walutik anan koba ichek kapkirwok. Sirinenyo Dennis Kipchirchir kotinye report kong'eten Nakuru.
Kosubkei ak okiliot Kipkoech Ng'etich ne inendet ko okiliot nebo familia nebo Amos Lang'at Chesilim nekikibete sobet eng tarik 23 arawetab 3 eng kenyini kasarta nekikimwok inendet akobar afisayat nemwaat kole boisie inendet eng presidential escort kokamwa okilionoto kole togu komatinye maket age tugul kibagengeit nebo IPOA eng familia chemaimuchigei.
Serikali komamakengi chito nematindoi tuguk imuche kobarin asikarindet yon metinye kiy ako mami kiy neyoe amami ele toretitoite serikali ako katiba nenyonet en article 27 komwoe kole mami discrimination, lakini en nguni ole kikertoi yan kakibar MP keyoe investigation within 2 weeks. Yan kakibar chito neo komachelewani uchunguzi, lakini ngebar chito ne nyarat en emoni bo Kenya kobar asikorindet komami chi nemoe kochungusan akot ngele kakeyai uchunguzi kokoekei uchunguzi noton ako mamong'u recommendations kot komakisib ndakomasibi ng'alechu koangen ale tos ait age kotokoketub akitya keon family.
Kamwa inendet kole kikoito kesit nebo baretab Amos Langat eng tarik 28 arawetab somok eng kenyini ak kowol icheket eng tarik 1 nebo arawetab ang'wan eng kenyini kole bendi kochikili kesinotok ole akoi nguni kotomo kokon walutik alak tugul kibagengeit notok bo IPOA.
En tarikit 28 ko kikisirta baruet kesirchi Independent Policing Oversight Authority kemwa kele asikorindet nebo ng'alechu ne nayat ko Mohammed ko nendet ko agenge en ribik chebo presidential escort ako ribe agenge en ofisaek cheboisie ak the presidency. Kingakesirchi baruet Independent Policing Oversight Authority en tarikit 28 arawetab somok kenyitab 2025 ko kiwolwech en tarikit 1 arawetab ang'wan kenyinitok komwa kole kakonam kochungusan ng'alechu, kakoregistan complaint ini ako agenge en complaints chebendi kochungusani ak itya kosir recommendations kosirchi Director of Public Prosecution kosibge ak Article 157 nebo Katiba nebo Kenya. Ng'eten tarikit 1 arawetab ang'wan akoi raini tarikit 10 arawetab 7 en ng'alek alak betusiek 70 chekakobataita komami report agetugul nekokonech Independent Policing Oversight Authority.
Kosubkei ak baruet nekasirchi kibagengeit notok ko kaikochi icheket betusiek 14 kokon walutik chebo kokaran familia inotok ne ngot ko maisuldae kibagengeit notok kakwautik chotok kowendi inendet kapkirwok.
So en amut kokisirchi baruet kikochi reminder Independent Policing Oversight Authority kelenji kimache report, a comprehensive report nebo investigation ole mure recommendations kokonech report akobo baorinik chekikosir statement asikenai kit nekiyoe amun kosibge ak Article 26 nebo Katiba nebo Kenya kotindoi chitugul haki kosob ako yan kakireben chito sobet kou yan kikireben Amos asikorindet ko lazima kemwa kele kilya sikereben ako chichi koreben kochobot kolipan compensation anan machobot. Ngot ko makinyoru report nebunu serikali within the next 14 days akobo ng'alekab compensation ak recommendations chebo kirwokyi ak itya kimut asikorindet noton Mohammed kwa kapkirwok kesitakan ng'alekab borisiet then ko kebendi kotini kounon kikemwa kila kesitakan serikalitab emetab Kenya kemoche kikoi compensation sigik chebo Amos Langat Chesile koboto osotiondenyin ak chereret nekibakach Amos Langat Chesile.
Kong'etegei county nebo Nakuru logoiwekab emet chebo Kass, kainenyu ko Dennis Kipchirchir.
Eng logoiwek alak ko magat eng kandoik chebo bolotet koistoengei ng'alalet netokchinigei bororiondit akokochi boroindo President William Ruto kowang'u kasarta nenyin nebo kandoinatet. Kaikoito kurset niton kokwetab boisiek nebo Keiyo chekamwa kole manyolu kambakosiek chekoketestai keborionji eng emet ak amun noton kokotestai koibu asenet koboto wechetab malikab biik ak choton chebo boror ak kora kabetetab sobonwek. Andrew Kimeto koibwech report kong'eten Iten.
Magat kikochi president nebo emoni Dr. William Ruto boroindonyin nebo kotar kasartanyin nebo kandoinatet kou ye magat eng ng'atutikab emoni ako makou oleu bolotet eng emet eng nguni ole mitei kandoik alake chetindoi njametab kobal inendet kotomo kotar boroindonyin. Nitok kosubkei ak boisiekab ko kobun Keiyo chenotin ko kokwetab Keiyo cheng'ololi eng taonitab Iten akomwa kole kokeboisie barotik chenaatin ko Gen Z eng oret neya nebo kambakosiek kandoik chemakchinigei kandoinatet emoni notok ko manyolu
koin ko kakenai kele kitinye biik alak lengo alak kele kenam lagok tugul che vijanaek sutyo kong'etin sikisikyi kewal emoni. Ng'alek chekiokis kenyit konye ko kitomo keelewan komie. Kiba bunge keon wajumbe ako mwisho ko kitokyinigei keba State House kecheng nebo emet eng emoni, lakini kotoret Mungu komatokoit yundo. Maket nekimi ko kokenai kele kakitinye tetutik alak cheyachen.
Kong'ete kanam Arap Ruto serikali ko kikiapishan bet kole asis machor kurait ako bichu tugul ko kikere ko rani kele kabun ano bichu mamakchini chichi kandoiset.
Kaikimit komwa boisiechoto kondochini nebo ngecheret eng kokwonoto bo Keio Ben Katam kole takchinet nekokoib kandoichoto kobo bororiondit neimuch kowekta let emoni asikobit kosuryo bororiosiek chemite Kenya.
Tribes chumito Kenya ko chang. Ako tinye kot age tugul nia kuongosan koroni. Lakini mi biik chemomakyin. Rift Valley kotoche chi tugul. Kitinye tribes tugul chemi Rift Valley. Bichu bo kolenyin kotoche toek.
Komakimache ki nebo ukabila amache Keio ketoche chi tugul amakitinye ukabila eng Keio. Amakitinye ukabila eng Kalenjin. Amunda kitinye ukabila ndakiketou keny. Ako kiinmwoe kolen tinye ukabila Arap Ruto. Komangen sole katinye ukabila kotoretan Uhuru, kotoretan Kibaki, akotoret chit netugul. Arap Moi kitoret Kenyatta. Kitinye achek kabila ketoret bicho ketach chi tugul ko makitinye kabila.
Kasom boisiechoto barnotik choto nootin ko Gen Z komatkoyan keboisie eng bolotet ako mongke koityi ngalalutik ak serikali asi koterter kaimutik chebune icheget.
Kimwoni Gen Z keleni amu mwoe Gen Z kole mwoe murechu kole makitinye wa leaderless. Ko ngikas leaderless ko mami kiy neindochin, lakini kikindochine bichu in ngalekab IT mi chito ne controleni. Obwote ole kikoker akot en yomi tum ko ngap komi kamerait age ne kikuren drone. Kamera ino bendi sikobir picha kole komi chito ne controleni eng somewhere. So ngalechu kobo Gen Z ko kikontrolune otage. Komi chito ne leni opakune. Koba lagok cho chemengen akot metakel kole kane. Lakini drone kopire pichait kolo tugul. So it was being controlled. Oripke otkomatochut ngalecha. Awane ole met kukobunono.
Kongete county nebo Elgeyo Marakwet, logoiwekab emet chebo Kass, kainenyu ko Andrew Kimeto.
Ngewekchengei kasarta agoi county nebo Kericho ole kakomwa deputy governor nebo county noto engineer Fred Kirui kole nyolu en kibagengeit netinyegei ak kirindaetab nametab asoya nebo Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission EACC kochigil lipanetab rabinik cheite million 80 chekilipan kampunisiek cheterter en county nebo Kericho. Kamwa Kirui kole mabit imanda eng lipanetab rabinik choto kosubkei ak nematogu boisionik cheterter chekikilipan. Robert Siele kotinye report kongeten Kericho.
Kong'ololjin sirikab logoiwek en sang nebo ofisinyin komwa deputy governor nebo Kericho engineer Fred Kirui kole kitestai lipanetab kampunisiek cheterter en tetutik chemamiten kabarunoik chebo boisionik chekikiyai.
Kolinganga ak information notinye komakiib anan makisupply anan makiib tuguchoto kinyolu keibchi wananchi. For example, araetab somok ko kilipan kampunisiek chechang. Rabinik cheite karibu 60 million. Akobo supplies chebo general supplies, supply of computers, motor vehicle, stationery, provision of tents and chairs. Matana county nyak tendisiek chu obwoti ngalekab londiani ole kimiten ngalekab tendisiek kora komiten kora tendisiek chu kokelipan. Kokelipan kora tuguk kimenai kotko genuine.
Kosubkei ak deputy governor kokakosirchi barwet kibagengeit netinye kakirindaetab nametab asoya nebo Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission EACC en emoni ak county assembly nebo Kericho ak ofisisiek chenen nebo keyai chikilisiet akobit imanit kotinygei ak bugetab rabisiek choton.
So kokasirta baronok koba EACC, asirta barwet age kwo county assembly nenyonet, asirta barwet age kwo senator, ak asirchi CEC nebo finance. Amun nende netas en ngalekab payment. CEC kokateben documents chenyolu koko advertisement, ngalekab award nebo tender, acceptance. Ak amache asom biik tugul chebo county boitinik alenji en kampunisiek chu miten kireu ko en nguni kokakoik subject of investigations. Matakanyo ng'alin chi isainen kiy kele sikeib tuguchotok sinyokinde reu sikobit kekaveren up. kokamwa amut president kole as a responsible ana kandoindet ne kuitos kasinyin konon itinye information alak tugul make sure ile kekochi relevant institution sikoyai investigation nenywanet.
Kamwa Kirui kole rabisiek cheite milionisiek 88 kokomagat keboisien en oret nenyolu ole yautik cheu choton ko kikoib kolany pending bills en county noton.
Rabinik chu ng'ololen en yu ko rabinik karibu 80 million chenyolu keinvestigaten. Rabinik choton koyome kwal kerichek kinde sipitalisiek chechang, koyome kochob oratinwek karibu kilomita 200 en county nenyonet. Contractors en yu chechang chekiyai kasit genuinely, chikakitendaren kasisiek ko applyen ke shortlisten ko winen kotom kelipan ngamun kiliponi kampunisiek che fictitious, lakini kampunisiek che genuine inyoru kosunguani en yu makiliponi. And that is why pending bill nebo county nenyonet ko okere aino komiten investigation niko carry out assembly kole pending bill chebo county nyon ko kakocheng karibu 400 million anan koba barak. Ko ngamun budget kechobe amanya kisube budget noton kinome nyake tuguk alak che wrong.
Kosubkei ak Kirui ko kitestai lipananoton kong'eten arawetab 10 en kenyit nekosirto agoi arawetab 3 en kenyiniton.
Rabinik chu kotinye en ireu ko chekibo between arawetab 10 kenyit konye agoi arawetab 3 en kenyini. Miten chu kokiliponi karamu and I'm very certain kotko trend koni ko kot chu kokiliponi recently ko the same. And that is why we want to ensure that we bring sanity to this county so that people get value for the money.
Kabit ng'alaletab Deputy Governor Engineer Fred Kirui en kasarta nekotestai kobit terchinosiek en kwenunyin ak Governor nebo county noton Dr. Eric Mutai kosubkei ak boisionikab kandoinatet ak bandab tai. Kong'eten county nebo Kericho, logoiwekab emet chebo Kass, kainenyun ko Robert Siele.
Kakecher sigik koker kole kainde tai kotikonet neitini lagok asikokimit atebosiek chemiachen. Nito ko kurset kobun General Overseer nebo kanisetab Seventh Day New Jerusalem en Kenya, Elder Joseph Soi, nekang'oloni kokwetab Kiptaragon en komosta nebo Olenguruoni.
Joseph Soi ko General Overseer nebo kaniset nebo Seventh Day New Jerusalem nekamwa ine kole tinye kebeberta neo sigik en kotikonetab lagok kosubkei ak atepto nemie. Kamwa Overseer Soi kole chong'indab neranik ko kikobet tokyinet kosubkei ak nemanyoru kotikonet kobun sigik.
Kabisa mache kekoma amun those are the people who don't have parents, matindo sigik, because the role of every parent ni kuongoza mtoto kwa njia sawa. Iwe goite no ge bare nore. Ako na mesogi, umaje ko bare kama jagi ke wan serikali. Amajo muongo le matoto sigi kerge umi sigi joto ko mami. Amun kitinye tugul lagi ngete. Au gigi ngoche every parent mamlaka kufundisha. Kwa moyo logo tingene lichon otu ko ngetos ko chame asikobit kotokyigei kirwoget. Matinot kyochililie, mamite chilildos ako walit. Ako chilildos ko kirwokyin en kotini chubo emet, lakini machilildos yoto.
Kong'ololi ine en kokwetab Kiptaragon en Olenguruoni en county nebo Nakuru en igortab konoretab Selina obot Chemurere nekamwa ine kole bo komonut en chitugul kokimit ribetab familia asikotestai bandab tai nemie en emet.
Amun kyoishe mamlaka kutoka mbinguni. Nikimache kisikukuni sikilokun kiroisino kila naomba uongozi kusimamia familia. Ogere siko bogeti emet ko because metowek tun choto ko murenik chekikikure the heads of the family wame fail, they have abdicated their duty, the duty which is divine given by God from heaven. Loi wabse iyema tete boyol ditu ko langata kilukto kongete subuhi kot ko imeni bare tene tete sine. Ogase kogile chepot chamure ko ki pati barenik kingo ko supposito boyo ko pati barenik werut boyde ju ko chakta ando mage nyoru ko chebo boyon nebo kenyisiek pokot tute ajururan wertageni me to sabe ero kikebek well that family there is no lineage momiten lineage hakuna lineage The strength of every society is the family. Yonga komede family, umomiten bororiet netonone.
Ngechut ngwendut noton nebo mungaret ole kimongu kwo ngwony kimnotet ak alyetab dola en arawek lo chekwone nito kosubkei ak keret nebo benkitab Standard Chartered ne naat ko Global Market Outlook nebo oeng en kenyini. Kamwa Chief Investment Officer nebo Africa, Middle East ak Europe Manpreet Gill kole yote noto kokochini boroinwek chemiachen chemungarainik kosuldaen mungarosiek en emotinwek alak koboto kora emetab Kenya asikonyorunen kelchin yemito ngwony olyetab dola. Samson Kurgat kotinye report en koindo.
Kosubkei ak Manpreet kowendi ngwony dolaitab Amerika kosubkei ak netomo konyor kimnotet uchumi nebo emonoto ako eku noto kipkel nemie eng emotinwek alak cheboto Africa.
We expect a weak US dollar. Most of you have most probably read headlines about how the dollar is down by around 10% or so from its peak year to date. But we think, of course, you have ebbs and flows and we might, have a bit of a pause in that. But ultimately, we think the dollar is set to remain weak as we go through the rest of this year. And that's driven by a combination of the fact that we have a lot of policy uncertainty still in the US, and we've seen the dollar respond to that. And later in the year, we think the Fed will also start cutting rates, catching up with other major central banks. And that combination, of course, will keep downward pressure on the US dollar. We're paying attention to the dollar because it has a lot of implications for almost every other asset class in financial markets worldwide. Whether you're thinking of markets outside Kenya or indeed across most emerging markets.
Kerenito kobo kamanut eng chemungarainik kou ye iaroru Edith Chumba.
Global Market Outlook is a tool that we use locally to help our clients who are looking to invest or those who have invested to get information as they continue to make investment decisions, as they continue to look at their portfolios, to leverage on opportunities where they can get good returns. A weakening dollar is a good opportunity. It's talked about equity markets being good and bond markets also strengthening in some markets where clients should be looking out to invest in. Of course, every market is facing challenges today because of the risks that we all see, whether it's geopolitical risks that we are experiencing today. I think what is important is the response.
As an investor, that's quite important because we're coming off obviously a long period of actually US markets, leading the charts, and particularly for emerging markets. And I think that's where the record has been quite strong to say when you have periods of dollar weakness, across emerging markets, whether you look in Africa, Asia, Latin America, you tend to see quite a bit of support then from a foreign investor flow perspective when the dollar is weak.
Ibaru kora chikilishonoto kole takotesetai benkishek eng alet ak aldaetab gold.
Today we see gold as a core holding. Right. And what we mean by that is, yes, it's not, we've trimmed our overweight. That's where we start the year. We've got a big surge even since the start of the year. But we still think the basic drivers for gold are in place, right? Central banks around the world are still buying a lot of gold. Gold is a great hedge against inflation, which is one of our biggest potential risks that we're keeping an eye on. And what this chart shows you is that gold can actually do reasonably well in a weak dollar environment as well.
Ariboten chinikas logoiwekab emet eng county nebo Nairobi, kainenyu ko Samson Kurgat.
Kakoker serikali en kasar factorisiek chebo miwek en komosta nebo Western Kenya en kasarta nebo arawek somok kotaugei betutab karon komut kasi. Kaib kokwoutiet noto serikali kosubkei ak nekakotou kobois aisurut nebo Sugar Development Levy ole toreti noto kora kochulak sekta nebo sukaruk en emet akot en kasarta nekokobitu rorunetab miwek chekingoe ole borchinigei serikali kotonon aletab sukaruk kobun emotinwekab sang koite kenyit ebushek oeng 27. Kaibarasta kokwoutiet nito kibagengeit nebo Kenya Sugar Board ole kamwa CEO nebo Sugar Board Jude Chesire ak nebo Kecheret Nicholas Gumbo kole kakib kokwoutiet noto kosubkei ak ngalalet nekobit eng kwenutab stakeholders chemito sector nebo sukaruk ole kakicher factories choto itemut kosubkei ak netomo korurio miwek chechang.
I want to appreciate the leaders. I want to appreciate the farmers. We are also interacting with farmers. As you know, part of what we hope to achieve with the Sugar Development Fund is also to capacitate farmers so that they understand, for example, the obligations with regard to the contracts that they sign with the millers, because part of the problem we have had in this sector is, and as Janti correctly put it, we have very many farmers who do not honor the contracts, and I think it emanates from the fact that we have quite reinforced the contracts, because every contract must include provisions for rewards and punishment. I think that as we get into that, so that it cannot be loose, that even after signing the contracts, the farmers more or less can, get into aspects that would amount to cheating. We have had very many cases of farmers signing a contract with a particular miller, and then somewhere along the line, they find that they are getting into financial difficulties, and they again try to use cane that has been developed through a contract with a miller, try to use it to get money while it's honoring the contract. So I think one of the things that I think I made this clear when I was doing factory tours, we want to see how we can develop very tight but enforceable contracts between the millers and the farmers, so that, because that is the only way you can have discipline in the sector, or the subsector as it were. And then, so that would really address the issue of openness with regard to the commitments of the millers, the commitment of the farmers, and even as we go now into getting loans from the Sugar Development Fund, then how we don't, I think it has to be very clear that we are not engaging in tokenism here. We are not engaging in charity. This is a subsidized loan that aims primarily to make sure that, and the biggest problem we have in this sector is the fact that we do not have sufficient cane. In fact, it's such a problem that almost there's no week which passes before we hear allegations and counter allegations of somebody poaching somebody else's cane.
Now, once we are stable, then now we can do away with the levy, because we'll have a revolving round fund. So this manual is supposed to actually guide us and tell us what is to be done. I know credit management sometimes can be a bit of a challenge. I'm happy that now the mills are 100% private sector driven. Our experiences in the past, when we had this fund, because of the governance issues in the public mills, a lot of money was pumped in the public mills, therefore also denying the private mills money that would have developed the industry. And when you look at the write-offs that were done, the 117 billion, majority of that money, I think around 50 billion, was money that had been disbursed to the government mills. In terms of exposure, the private mills, we just had very few challenges. Those who were given money were able to repay the money on time. So this time we also don't want to chance. We want to make sure that we have a document that at least will make sure that whatever we are collecting reaches the intended purpose and is repaid within the stipulated period. Further, I would want to add that as we progress, I want to inform you that the National Treasury has also approved the transfer of the Sugar Development Fund that was in the Commodity Fund to be taken up by Kenya Sugar Board, and the CS has already done the letter, and we are in the process now of moving that money back to Kenya Sugar Board. I think some of you already have loans that are running, so probably from 1st of September now the payments will come directly to Kenya Sugar Board. I also wish to add that this sector, we've been given a very huge task with the chairman to make sure that the sugar sector works. The president said that it works or it works, so we have no option. We've been given all the necessary support to make sure that this sector has to work, so that as we progress into the next dispensation after
Kitukchini yoto chitab kolenjin kayumetab logoiwek cho chebo emet ak mungaret chekaitun kongeten studio nebo Kass TV tetet nebo longetab Kabotik. Kikurenon Caroline Kiplagat nekoibwech logoiwechuto en oret nebo kabarunoik ko Naomi Cherotich. Kimakon kiy age tugul nekararan testai iker Kass TV kimnotet night.